Hello and welcome everyone to the Hold for Hold Pro Wrestling channel. Sorry for the bit of a botch intro. Again, I'm really learning, so hang in there with me. But we are back here today to discuss AEW's Grand Slam Dynamite Night 1, baby. Night 1 of Grand Slam. And boy, did it deliver. Before I get into this really quick, I would love and really appreciate if you guys would follow the channel on Twitter and Instagram at Hold4Hold and give this video a thumbs up wherever you may be watching it, and make sure to subscribe to us on both Twitch and YouTube as we film all of our recordings here on the Twitch at twitch.tv/Hold4Hold. And by we, I mean me and you guys. So please, big help if you guys can do that. But anyways, enough with the tomfoolery branding issues. Let's get to business. This was, and I don't say this lightly, this was the best AEW Dynamite to date. Period. There is a debate on whether it's just the best this year, but I think it expands. I think this is the best Dynamite of the year and of its entire history as of now. And I'm willing to die on that hill. But there's so many reasons why. We got Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega with a 40-minute opener. Just an absolute banger. You have a CM Punk interview. You have Malachi Black, Darby Allin and Sting versus FTR. I mean, do I even need to tell you what you already know? This is the show of the year in terms of a television wrestling event. This has been amazing. And it's not even over. We still have Rampage to look forward to, which I'm going to try my best not to see any spoilers for, but I'm expecting that to be an amazing show as well. Moving on, you guys, should we just start right at the top with what was sure to be the main event in my eyes? Opening the show tonight, Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. This is a non-title bout, so it was always a possibility in the back of my mind that Omega could lose here. He wouldn't lose his championship. Crowd is electric, absolutely electric for this match. This felt like Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 17, I believe. Like, this is just off the chart levels of hot. Which for the story, there's not that much of a build. There's no personal, real grudge match feel to this. This is built as a dream match, and sometimes that's all you need. Similar to how Samoa Joe and Kenta Kobashi, their match and Ring of Honor, that was a dream match. You didn't need to build to it any further than that. This is what that felt like. Bryan Danielson makes his entrance out first. He's wearing new gear, nice burgundy, keeping it true to his original American Dragon roots. So I love to see that new burgundy gear from him. Kenny Omega also with new gear, nice blue on it, good contrasting color tones from both men. Always a fan of when wrestlers look like they're opposing each other when they are fighting. That's something I really love. Like I said, the crowd so hot. This match doesn't even get underway for at least 3 minutes because the crowd is just cheering and cheering and cheering. Just at simple lockups. It's amazing. Kenny gets a big chop to start off this match, and Bryan just wipes it right off his chest. Love to see that. He returns the favor with a hard kick. And this really sets the tone of this match. It's Omega thinking he's overconfident. He's thinking, I can beat this guy. I don't need to try my hardest. And Bryan coming back with everything he has to prove that he is still the number one guy, the man in the industry. So yeah, just amazing to start off. We get some chain wrestling, back and forth. We get a dive to the outside from Danielson to really pick up this match. Danielson starts targeting Kenny Omega's shoulder. Their commentary is selling that this is to get him ready for the bell lock. Omega starts to regain control. He gets a lot of chops in, and at this point, Bryan's chest looks like he's in a match with Walter. Bryan hulks up, though, but gets cut off. Bryan counters the you can't escape with the knees up. He gets some chops and some kicks. in the corner, and then we get the classic Daniel Bryan comeback where he flips over the ropes. Love that move. Yeah, this is just like, excuse me for my notes might not be as coherent this time around because I was fully into this match. I was trying to enjoy it as much as a fan, and writing notes does help sometimes, but for this one, I wanted to soak it in. So, like I was saying, Kenny Omega Bryan Danielson makes his comeback, but he gets cut off again. Omega hits that signature like senton plancha he hits, and it looks beautiful. To the outside, we get a roll-up exchange from each of them, and Danielson uses the last roll-up to transition into the cattle mutilation, one of my absolute favorite moves. I popped hard for that. Omega rolls out of the ring onto the ramp, which this time around, I know sometimes they do it this way, where the ramp actually connects to the ring, which I always love. And the ramp is this like digital style for once, much like WWE's, digital ramp. So Omega rolls out to the ramp. Danielson gets to the top ropes, hits a flying knee off the top rope. We get some yes kicks on the ramp. The crowd absolutely eating this up. Danielson boots up for the last one, misses the buzzsaw kick, gets a snapdragon on the ramp. Kenny Omega with the quickest snapdragon, and it looked vicious. I popped. This, I'm just going to say it right now. This was my spot of the night, and it happened in the first match. Oh, boy. And then Omega tees up, goes all the way to the back of the ramp, runs all the way back, hits a nasty V-trigger to Bryan Danielson, sending him back into the ring. He picks up Danielson again, gives him a buckle bomb onto the top rope, but he doesn't hit the top buckle. He more so just nails the top rope. And so Danielson is kind of flung awkwardly, and the ref checking on him for a little while there. It was kind of a scary moment. Danielson slips out of another snap suplex attempt. He gets a roll up. Another snap suplex attempt, but this time Omega realizes he's not going to be able to hit it, so he switches it up, hits a windmill kick to his back. Danielson in the corner. We get a classic V-trigger in the corner. Omega looks to put Danielson on the top rope, or I don't remember how this happened, but Omega gets on the top rope. Danielson hits a back suplex off the top to Omega. We get a regal plex that looked perfect, spiking Omega on his head for 2. From there, we get an avalanche dragon suplex from Omega to Daniel Bryan, and Bryan flips out of it as he's supposed to, but his head still looked a little too close for comfort. Danielson reverses a one-winged angel into a poison rana, which was really nice to see. Omega misses a V-trigger and eats that buzzsaw kick that Daniel Bryan didn't hit earlier. He gets that. Omega catches the running knee from Danielson for a power bomb, and then nails another V-trigger, more of a Kamigoye style V-trigger on this one for 2, which I really thought was the end. Omega misses the Phoenix Splash, and commentary makes a good note that Omega hasn't gone for that Phoenix Splash since his unsanctioned match with Moxley, so that was a good little note there. We get some stiff kicks from Bryan, finally chopping down Omega, and here we come to the finish. I guess let's just run through the finish and then we can talk about it. Danielson gets the Danielson stops in. Again, I'm marking out. I'm in full fanboy mode here. Gets the Danielson stomps, goes for the bell lock, but he can't cinch it in. And the time expires. Time limit draw, everyone. Oh, it's a time limit draw. They're still kind of brawling, They're trying to really get the crowd out of that, it's a draw, booze, and get them back into the ring. So they're brawling. Danielson does sort of lock in the label lock, kind of gets it in, but the super click come out to make the save. They pull each other apart, and you think, okay, they're just going to be there to pull them apart. But no, they triple super kick Danielson. Just heel move there. This prompts Stone Cold Express and Christian Cage to come out to make the save. So, like I said, we're going to talk about this. I saw mixed reactions to the time limit draw. And I know this is going to be the sticking point of this match, because as fans, we all want a clean finish, right? Here's my deal with this. First of all, AEW always establishes that there's a time limit on every match. And I think that really helps them out in situations like this, where you always have the expectation that a time limit draw is on the table. It just doesn't happen very often. And so when it does, it's not too unexpected and it still retains its power, you know what I mean? So for world building standpoint, I think it's okay for them to have this. For the match itself, I think it's perfectly fine to have a time limit draw because I know we're going to get this match again, and we're probably going to get it on a pay-per-view, and we're going to get it for real stakes, probably for the championship. And even if it's not, it doesn't matter. The match was so good. It came to a draw. It keeps everyone strong, and I can't be upset at it. I truly can't. And again, it really helps that they legitimize, can't say that word, but you know what I mean? Really helps that they always establish that a time limit draw is possible, you know? So I think it's fine. And man, that was just a good match. It was such a good match. If you didn't watch this show, you need to watch this match. This is possibly my match of the year already. I might go back and watch it again without having to take notes, just so I can really soak it in. But man, this was a good match. Just everything you want. And I really think this isn't the end of this feud. I really think that this is going to carry on. We're probably going to see an Adam Cole Brian Danielson match out of this, which, man, you already saw what they could do on SmackDown. Just imagine what they can do on pay-per-view. Oh, hard to follow that, and we must. CM Punk comes to the ring for his interview, which they advertised it as an interview, but it was just him doing a promo in the middle of the ring. Crowd loving him. Perfect person to put out there after a match like that, because you know the crowd's still going to be into him. He said that he's glad he isn't wrestling tonight because he doesn't want to follow that match. And then he's kind of, this promo isn't his strongest, so I'll give you that. He said, it's been a long time since I've been in New York City, but it's been an even longer time since pro wrestling has been in New York City, which great line there. He calls out Team Taz. He says he's mad, but he's happy to see us, the crowd. He says that he thinks that Team Taz wanted to take this all away from him, but he's going to keep smiling through the pressure and through this. At one point, he also mentions that I know everyone wants to see me go back to the old me, grumpy, hardened, which, yes, we do. We want to see a Punk heel turn. And he basically confirmed, I'm going to be there one day, but for right now, I'm still happy to be here. So he says Friday, Powerhouse Hobbs is going to go to sleep. And it's a good moment. The crowd absolutely loves Punk. It was nothing more than a filler, but I'm fine with it at this point. And I'm really excited for this Hobbs CM Punk match. Not the first TV match I thought we would get out of CM Punk. And I'm very happy it is because it features my team, Team Taz. So very excited for that. We go to commercial and come back. It's MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. This match, not my cup of tea, not my biggest, possibly my low point of the night, to be honest. I love MJF as an in-ring competitor. I love him as a character. I just, I mentioned before, I wasn't big into how this feud has been going and like the personal, attacks that MJF has been doing. I think it could be done with class, the things he was saying, but it just was kind of lazily done. I'm not the biggest fan of this feud. And I really didn't know what to expect because I didn't know if Pillman or MJF was going to win this match. I think in my predictions, I picked Pillman just because I wanted the feel-good moment. And as a fan, that's who I would have liked to have saw win this match. But unfortunately, life doesn't give us what we want. The salt of the earth, MJF, picks up a win here. Not too much meat to this match. We get some big slaps back and forth, some roll-up attempts from Pillman. And MJF's just working the arm here this whole match, doing a couple arm ringers into the corner, really just working on Pillman's arms the entire match. Pillman looks to make a comeback. He hits a snap power slam with a great pinning combination. MJF rolls to the outside. He uses Julia Hart as a human shield to protect himself from Pillman's dive. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to do a dive to the outside. So he uses her as a human shield. Julia eventually kind of snaps away from him, and Pillman is able to hit that diving drop kick through the ropes. Pillman gets him back in the ring, but it's too little too late. MJF locks in that armbar for the win. My feed was cutting out there towards the finish, so I might have missed something. So unfortunately, I didn't get to catch every last bit of that finish. So I'm hoping I didn't miss anything with Wardlow. But from what I saw, Wardlow pretty much was a non-factor in this match. Didn't really continue the storyline of him breaking away from MJF, and MJF winning with the armbar was kind of a boring finish. Again, I could have missed something, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. I really hope that there was some kind of development with that story. Otherwise, it's kind of just a letdown. We're going to follow that with another letdown as Chris Jericho and Jake Hager have an interview talking about the Men of the Year. Jake Hager calls them the Boys of the Week, which was a little creepy. And Jericho basically says that the Men of the Year made a mistake challenging them, but he's going to accept it regardless. So that match is official for Friday night's Grand Slam Part 2. Like I said, I'm not big into this feud. I'm pretty sure Chris Jericho and Jake Hager are going to win this, and that's going to be that's a bad look for the Men of the Year. Especially, man, I love Ethan Page and I love Scorpio Sky, and it's just rough to see them have to lose like this, you know? So we'll see. I have low expectations for this match, but you never know. It could blow me away. Following this, we had Malachi Black versus Cody Rhodes, and boy, this match had some heat behind it. This match it felt like, it really felt like John Cena RVD one night stand vibes. This crowd did not like Cody Rhodes, and Cody Rhodes expertly played up to that, just like Cena did in that RVD match. He gets surprised that they start to boo him mid-match, and so he just turns his whole game around. He doesn't care about what the crowd's thinking here. He's got to focus on Malachi, and it ends up being his downfall. So first of all, Brandy Rhodes is back. Nice to see her back, sure. We get some graps to start off, and then it quickly disintegrates with a series of strikes from Malachi. He is fast, boy. He is fast with those strikes. He does that fainting moonsault thing that he does, and he sits crisscross applesauce in the middle of the ring. And Brandy Rhodes gets in the ring, sits across from him, and just flips him off. That was uncalled for, and the crowd booed it. A little bit further down the line, Malachi Black locks in a standing brutalizer, which was really cool. Kind of like the octopus that Jonathan Gresham has. We get a classic Cody Rhodes comeback. He's starting to get booed. This is where he looks at the crowd like, why are y'all booing me? And it kind of throws him off his game. He gets to the top rope late, goes for a flying nothing, gets hit with a knee in midair. Malachi nails a black mass in the center, kind of towards the center of the ring, but Cody falls out of the ring. And I love Malachi's sense of urgency here. He immediately runs to Cody and tries to get him back into the ring, but realizes he's too much dead weight, so he can't really pick him up. So he just gets back in, and he's like, you know what? He'll take a count out. Cody does make it back in before the count. Alistair immediately goes for a pin, but Cody gets his foot on the rope. Man, that was a good little spot, though. Cody comes back by attacking the leg. He gets caught with a back elbow. It looks crisp. Cody looks for the crossroads, but he gets absolutely launched by Malachi. We get a Cody cutter into a crossroads for 2. I really thought that was it, and I'm so glad it wasn't. Arn Anderson at this point gets up on the apron, and he slips off the apron unintentionally, and the crowd seems concerned. So he gets back up, he gets back on the apron, and Cody gets Irish whipped into Arn, and that formally drops Arn. And Cody at this point is distracted with Arn. He throws Malachi out the ring, and then he goes to Arn's, aid, and Arn's telling him to get back in the ring, get back at this. So Cody gets Malachi back in the ring. He's doing some strikes into the corner, and the ref's trying to get him away and trying to break these strikes, and he shoves the ref off. Big boos there. He turns around. Malachi Black hits him with some black mist right in the eyes, and a roll up 4-3. Woo boy, this match was a roller coaster, because I didn't want Cody to win this, obviously. And they played to that expectation perfectly by having him do the Cody Cutter Crossroads combination there. And to win with the black mist, and a roll up is fine, but I would have preferred the Black Mist into another Black Mass because then it's more definitive. But I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go from this. I haven't really given it much thought since I'm reviewing it right now. So you're going to hear some unfiltered thoughts about this match. About this feud, really. I don't know where they can go from here. I guess they could do like a lights out match. That would be pretty fun between these two. And you know, Cody, me and Cody, like my relationship with Cody is very difficult because when he gets in that ring, he's a really good storyteller. But it's just on the week to week basis of him talking, he's not that interesting. At least for me, for my taste. So I really enjoy them telling most of their stories in the ring, and I think a lights out match or like an unsanctioned match will allow them to have a lot of creativity with that. So I guess that's what I'm rooting for if this feud is to continue, which I think it will. Following that, we have a Miro and Sammy Guevara promo. Kind of a back and forth here. Miro has a great one-liner saying, "You keep coming knowing you see a weakness, and I'll keep coming knowing I see a fool." A fantastic line there. And then Sammy just says he's going to buy Fuego a new car after he wins the TNT title. And that match is official for next week on Dynamite. That's going to be a banger match. Absolutely excited for that. Following that, we have the Darby Allin and Sting versus FTR match. This match, ooh, if it wasn't for Omega Kenny opening the show, this match would have been my match of the night. Some NWO inspired gear for FTR, which I absolutely love, and matching face paint for Darby and Sting, where it's kind of looks like I don't know, kind of like they hand applied it. It looks a little messy, but it looked good. It looks like it's wartime paint, you know. Early start, FTR is trying to corner Darby, but Darby escapes. He's a little too squirrely for that. He tags in Sting. Crowd goes insane. We have Sting and Cash Wilder in the ring. What a lockup. Just two absolute fantastic wrestlers. They lock up. Dax eventually does kind of lure Sting into their corner, and he has to fight off both of them, and he does. But then he goes for a stinger splash, misses it, and gets double teamed pretty fast. It's like FTR are like hyenas. Like as soon as you give them something, they just strike, and it's fast strikes. Fantastic tag team experts. I mean, this is the greatest tag team that ever lived, if you ask me. But anyways, get a hot tag to Darby, and he hits some fast offense and a springboard coffin drop inside the ring. FTR is sent to the outside. Darby's looking for another coffin drop from the top rope, but FTR catches him and slam him into the apron. Darby gets another hot tag to Sting from here. Sting with a spine buster to Dax, then a cross body while Dax is trying to hit a pile driver on Darby Allin. So that's a little later on, but yeah, that was a very that spot could have gone bad if, you know, Sting was just a little short there, but he hits it perfectly. Sails right over Darby, hits Dax with that crossbody from the top rope. So looking towards the finish here, Tully Blanchard has a chair set up in the corner for Dax, and Dax is kind of hiding it with his body, and he's waiting for Sting to try to do a stinger splash. So Sting runs at him. Dax moves out of the way, but Sting puts on the brakes and then slams Dax into the chair, so it backfires on him. Man, Sting locks in the Scorpion Deathlock. Cash is trying to pull Dax to the outside with him, and so his back is kind of on the apron. So Darby gets up to the top rope, hits a coffin drop onto Cash's back on the apron, and Dax has nowhere to go, so he has to tap. Fantastic match. Absolutely fantastic. I think this is a one and done for this feud, which is sad for me because I could watch this a million times and be entertained. But I don't think this hurts FTR at all. You're going in there with two of the strongest booked people in the entire company. And I mean, they're so good. It doesn't matter what they do. Wins and losses don't matter all the time. That's the moral of this story. Because FTR are going to be fantastic in whatever they do next. So yeah, this was just a lot of fun. I would recommend checking this one out too. Following that, we have the main event, Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho for the AEW Women's Championship. This was a lot of fun. I just wish this was a pay-per-view so they could have had the amount of time it deserved, because I think when the bell rang, it was like 12 minutes to 9 o'clock. So just not that much time to give these women, and they deserved a lot more. But they made the most of it. They definitely did. We had a lot of chain wrestling to start this off. Fast movements back and forth. The crowd is back and forth on who they're rooting for, so that's always a great sign for both of these competitors. We get a quick knee from Soho. Ruby with a crossbody to the outside, and she takes out Rebel and Hager, but Britt escapes, and she hits a great flush super kick on the outside. Then she hoists her up onto the apron and hits a swinging neckbreaker off the apron to the floor, and that looked rough. Ruby Soho does make a comeback after commercial break, but she does get cut off again with a thrust kick from Britt that lands pretty snug. From there, we get a forearm exchange from the two of them. They're really trying to hype each other back up into this match. Ruby overtakes her, starts wailing her with some headbutts, and Britt kind of retreats to the ropes, and Ruby doesn't let up. She follows her to it and starts headbutting her still. Britt kind of makes an escape. She looks to lock in the lockjaw, but Ruby escapes that. Britt with a sling blade off the ropes, which looked, beautiful. She looks for the stomp, but Ruby turns it into a knee bar, which is a great transition there. From the knee bar, we get a catapult into the corner from Ruby, and then she hits a nice enziguri. Ruby nails the senton bomb from the top rope for a 2 count. I really thought that was going to be it. Ruby nails a neck breaker and a super kick for 2. Actually, I think Britt hits the neck breaker and super kick onto Ruby for 2. Sorry about that. Then we get an avalanche air raid crash from Britt Baker to Ruby Soho, and that looked rough. That landing looked rough. Ruby kicks out at 2, and towards the finish here, Britt smashes Ruby into the steps, and then she hits the stomp on Ruby. Ruby gets a desperation roll up, but then I believe Hager gets on the ropes first. She gets on one side of the apron, and so Ruby distracted. She hits her step up enziguri onto Hager. Rebel gets up on the other ropes, and by this point, the referee's distracted with Hager, so Rebel yanks her into the ropes. Ruby falls backwards. Britt Baker locks in the lockjaw for 3 for the win. Kind of a disappointing ending. I was really thinking there was a chance for Ruby to win this match, but interference loss is nothing to be too ashamed about, and they can definitely run this one back again with more time, hopefully. But to have them main event this huge show, this 20,000 plus in attendance show, was fantastic for them, and they definitely deserved every bit of that. Oh boy, I feel like I talked a lot there, and it's because I have to, but then also because it was so good, guys. It was such a good show. I really recommend checking this one out. This was my favorite Dynamite I've ever watched. It went by like a breeze. It felt big. It felt like a pay-per-view level Dynamite. I just can't put it into words. Match of the night, obviously Kenny Omega versus Brian Danielson, excuse me. I will eventually stop saying that. My spot of the night, this is tough, because as much as I love that Snapdragon onto the ramp from Omega to Danielson, that coffin drop from Darby onto Cash's back on the apron scared me. So I'm gonna just give it a tie. It's both of those, the Snapdragon and the coffin drop. Those were, oh my gosh, those were scary to watch, both of them. And overall, let's give an overall grade to this show, because nothing is better than grades. Nothing is more solidified than grades, right? So out of 5 stars, I think I would probably rate this a solid 5 stars. Well, 4.7. How about that? 4.75, just because the women didn't have enough time to really shine in that main event. So I'm going to give it 4.75 stars. This is, like I said, the best AEW Dynamite to date, period. Point blank. And you know how I know it was the best? Because Lil Uzi Vert was in the crowd. If Lil Uzi Vert's in the crowd, it's automatically the best. I mean, I don't make the rules on that. But anyways, y'all, this was a lot of fun to cover. I really hope you guys check out this show. And like I said, please support the channel any way you can. I will be back on Friday for both WWE SmackDown and AEW Rampage's GrandSlam. Boy, there's going to be a lot of wrestling we're going to cover, but we will do it together. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitch here. We film everything here on Twitch. And by me, I mean me and you. This is twitch.tv/hold4hold. And thank you guys, and goodbye.